Hey, Dr. Grant with Delphi Orthopedic Wellness. Today, I'm going to share with you two of the major reasons why you're having trouble getting back to the things you love after an ankle sprain. The two main problems are that the mobility hasn't returned and that the connection between the brain and the ankle is just not quite right. We call that proprioceptive deficit. What I'll show you today are a couple ways to see where you're at and how to get yourself back to the things you love. So the first thing we need to check is, how is the mobility of your ankle? So what I'll have you do is find some surface that is perpendicular to the ground. That's correct. So I'm going to use this right here. I'm going to come down on one knee, putting the toes about one hand distance from this vertical piece, right? So I put my hand here, scoop my toes up. Now my foot is in the right position. Maintain heel contact to the ground and move the knee forward. What you'll see is the distance between my knee and this shrinks. You're going to measure that with fingers, right? So right now I'm about 3 fingers away. You'll do that both on the good side and on the bad side. So you'll switch sides and you'll do the same measurement. Hand distance away, keeping the heel anchored, knee goes towards that surface. Same measurement, fingers distances away. Is it 4 fingers or is it 3 or 10 fingers? I don't know. You might have weird hands. Once you know that there's a deficit in mobility, we're going to move on to addressing that. You've probably done some ankle stretching, something to get it moving a little better, but I'm going to give you something different. You hook one of these bands into a door, get an elevated surface. A simple chair works just fine. You hook your foot inside of here, bring it up onto that surface. I'm going to lift up my pants here so that you can see everything. You don't want it way up here. This isn't going to affect the ankle. Instead, lower it just below these bumps on the outside of your ankle, the big bony parts. You're going to lift it just below that. The front is here in the crease of the ankle. And then in this position, you're going to move the knee forward and back, keeping that heel anchored so that all the motion comes from right here. What this is doing is it's pushing the bone underneath the ankle, the talus, backwards. Once we get that bone moving appropriately, you're going to be able to apply that to the things you actually want to do. Those mobilizations can be done about 10 at a time, and each one just for a couple of seconds. You'll do that morning and night. So that's solving problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that the connection between the ankle and the brain is just off. A lateral ankle sprain tears and damages... a lateral ankle sprain... All right. A lateral ankle sprain damages the tissue of the ATFL ligament. That tissue is responsible for sending signals up to your brain, letting your brain know where your ankle is in space. This usually doesn't affect the easy movements that we do, right? If you're walking, you really there's not much information to be sent up to the brain because it's all slow. You're in control. When you begin running, your brain doesn't think, I wonder if I'm bending the ankle enough during this step. I wonder if I pushed off 32 degrees. Maybe it was 34. Your brain just doesn't do that. The ligament in your ankle is one of many sources of information shooting up to your brain so that you don't have to actually think about it here, but that the ankle responds all on its own. What I'm going to show you now are ways to train that ligament to send the right signals again. An injury causes this disruption. We're going to fix it. Here's how we'll do it. Single leg balance is a great place to start. On a level surface that's flat and firm, you're going to just stand on one foot, lifting up the other and maintain this. If you're really into finding out are you equal on both sides, you just measure seconds on one foot, how many seconds can you stand on the other foot. You might also notice, are you wobbling a bunch? Where is the wobble? Is it the ankle? Is it the whole body? That'll give you a baseline of where you're at to start. But we quickly want to move past that. We need to really train, something that'll challenge you. So we're going to go back onto one foot and close your eyes. In an eyes closed position, it could be dangerous. Don't leave any knives out, anything dangerous on the floor. Instead, go close to something that you can catch. And if you do lose balance, you just catch yourself, right? So I'm going to be right here, go up onto the one foot. I'm pretty good here, no hold. Then closing eyes. And the movement usually increases because you don't have your eyes to tell you where you are. So one step harder is now eyes closed balance. If that becomes easy, the next step is to come over to something like this. You take a pillow off your couch or your bed, and you're going to stand on top of it. Make sure the pillow's on something that doesn't slip, right? So if I was standing on top of this table, maybe not the best idea. But we're going to stand, and as you put pressure, a really thin pillow, you'll almost be touching the ground underneath. Not going to be that difficult. If that's the case, you only have thin pillows, fold in half here, then stand on that one foot. So to demonstrate that as well, we pop this on the ground, getting onto one foot. It's going to be a little harder even with eyes open. And then you can add in eyes closed if that is where you're at. The goal with this is not to make yourself go crazy right off the bat. I don't want you to go straight to the pillow. I want you to start off easy, slowly build it up. Do this morning and night for about 2 weeks. Both this proprioceptive training and the mobility of that talus and the ankle, those two things should be done frequently. If you only do it once a week, you can expect once a week results. And once a week results are terrible. You need to be getting after it every day. I would suggest morning and night, a couple reps each. If after 2 weeks, you're not seeing the changes that you're looking for, or you're getting a little bit better, but there's a new pain, a new problem coming along, it may be time to talk to a doctor of physical therapy. At Delphi Orthopedic Wellness, we are dedicated to lasting recovery. We don't just dabble in pain relief. Feel free to reach out for a free 15-minute phone consultation where we can find out if we are the right people to help you.